what is debt. So before I go into the whole spectrum of the law, we're going to define what debt is. And this definition came directly from the FDCPA under 15 USC 1692A5. The term debt means any obligation or alleged obligation of a consumer to pay money arising out of a transaction in which the money, property, insurance, or services which are the subject of the transaction are primarily for personal, family, or household purposes, whether or not such obligation has been reduced to judgment. The power of paper is an absolutely powerful thing. And y'all need to understand that paper is very, very dangerous. So you have to be careful how you use it. So now that we're on the topic of affidavits, what I'm going to do is I am going to pull up what an affidavit is. An affidavit is a written statement confirmed by oath or affirmation for the use as evidence in court. I'm going to read that again. A written statement confirmed by oath or affirmation for the use of evidence in court. Now, basically, this is unsworn declarations under penalty of perjury. This is what gives an affidavit so much power, right? So it's 28 USC 1746. Write this down and you can go revisit it later. But what I want to get to is this. Wherever under any law of the United States or under any rule, regulation, order, or requirement made pursuant to law, any matter is required or permitted to be supported, evidence, established, or proved by the sworn declaration, verification, certificate, statement, oath, or affidavit in writing of the person making the same, other than a disposition or an oath of office, yada, yada, yada. Such matter may with like force and effect be supported, evidence established or proved by the unsworn declaration. Right, basically, it repeated itself. What I want to get to is this. Number two, one is if you are without the United States. But number two, well, most of us are in the US, if not all of us right now, are in the US. And basically, this is what gives you your power. If executed within the United States, its territories, possessions, commonwealths, I declare or certify, verify, or state, whichever one you want to use, under penalty of perjury, that the foregoing is true and correct, executed on this date, and your signature. And this is where you get that notary to sign that you just swore an oath verifying that all the information that you provided in this affidavit is true. This is what gives it its power. All right. So I just wanted y'all to get a peek at where it speaks on what gives the affidavit its power. A debt collector may not use unfair or unconscionable means to collect or attempt to collect any debt without limiting the general application of the foregoing. The following conduct is a violation of this section. The collection of any amount, including, listen, the following conduct is a violation of this section. So everything that I'm going to read here is a violation. So if that has happened to you, please make a note of it. The collection of any amount, including any interest, fee, or expense incidental to the principal obligation, unless such amount is expressly authorized by the agreement creating the debt or permitted by law. So if they exaggerate an amount more than what it is, if the law doesn't permit that, or you went into some expressly expressed authorized agreement that created this debt, it is a violation for them to inflate the said amount. A UCC1 statement is a legal notice filed by a creditor, because remember, you are a creditor, all right? in an effort to publicly declare their right to seize assets of the debt collector. So in the self-executing contract, they agree for you to put a UCC1, basically a lien on them. So in the event that they can't pay, you you can seize the assets of the debt collectors.
Late payments on it. You said, well, actually, late payments are illegal. And
Mhm.
so I was like, well, I'll just ask him that later and then leave the room for other people. So what did you mean by that?
So, well, since we're going down the rabbit hole, this is a FDCPA Zoom. The late payment is on the FCRA. A late payment is illegal because Congress says that your transaction or experiences between a person or between a consumer, which is a natural person, and the person making the report. So we have the consumer, natural person, and the person making the report, which is an individual, organization, corporation, governmental agency, subdivision, yada, 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 should not be included on your consumer report. So write this down, 15 USC 1681A, then you're going to put number two,
Okay.
then you're going to put A, and then I.
Okay.
When you go to that section, it's going to speak to you on why late payments are illegal and should not be included on your consumer report.
I think it's like milling credit or something like that. I sent
Mm.
them a debt a debt validation letter, and then they send me back like a whole history of bills, and I'm like, oh no, where do I go from here? Like I know bills they don't mean nothing about
Well,
validation or nothing,
we
but
just
they're
went
just
through it,
bills.
and you see that all of that is bullshit.
Yeah.
So now this letter that you're gonna get tonight, you're gonna hit them with it.
Okay, so I can send that letter to them again, like as a
You're
debt
goddamn
validation.
right.
Yeah.
Is that so? Basically, remember the opening statement. I asked you for a validation of debt, and you gave me a computer generated email with bills and statements. I never asked for none of that. Give me all the 5 points that Congress says you're supposed to give me under the FDCPA for validation of debt, 15 USC 1692G, right? For each one that they don't give you, that's a violation. In in addition, you're going to send out the validation of that proof of claim with all the sauce inside of it. That's why, like, y'all need to spend a good 3 weeks to a month. Don't just get this letter and send it out tomorrow. Please understand the contents of the letter. Please, please, please. The rain will not be responsible for anybody's failure to implement and understanding the contents of the letter, and if you don't seek legal advice if you're unsure about something.
Hey, so my situation is this, man. I actually had a repossession back in 2016,
Mhm.
and I was actually sued by the finance company um, towards the end of last year.
Mhm.
And I, not knowing these laws, settled out of court.
Hmm.
So is there a way that, I could use this validation letter
Oh,
or some
that
other
is.
method?
Listen, Doreen does not give legal advice, so I gotta, throw that out there.
Okay.
I'd find me an attorney,
Okay.
and based on new information, I am going to reopen that case because I found out that I was frauded out on a transaction. So
Okay.
what you're going to do is present the evidence. So you're going to put your exhibits together, everything that you know now, especially under the law, find all the violations, and you are going to go after them. And you know that the Sixth Amendment right, you have the right to face your accuser. So I don't need to see no lawyer. I want to see whoever XYZ financing company is. Show up to court. I'm invoking my Sixth Amendment right. A paper cannot show up to court. What are they going to testify? It's a piece of paper. A corporation is a piece of paper. So now you win by default judgment. Even though we know default judgments are illegal, but it's illegal when it's being used on the natural person.
I got a question about a old credit card debt that he put on my report as
Mhm.
charge off.
Mhm.
I can't seem to get it off.
Is it only listed as a charge off? Is there anything else beside it?
No, it's just listed as a charge off and it's got a debt owed and that's it.
You're gonna go to the CFPB website. You're gonna file it there. You're gonna go to the Federal Trade Commission and you're gonna file it there. Then you're gonna go to the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. You're gonna file it there. All of them you're gonna file that the company at hand is filing tax fraud because they're reporting an account as a charge off. You requested the 1099-C so you can file it with your taxes and they are refusing to give it to you.